In the book, As a Man Thinketh, James Allen wrote that men do not attract what we want, but we attract what we are. What you are is who you are. It's who you're being. It's who you see yourself as. It's what you actually believe you deserve. There's actually a great book by Gary Cady. He wrote a book called Raise Your Healthy Deserve Level. And in that book, he said that you do not get in life what you deserve, but you get what you believe you deserve. So these two quotes come together. And there are multiple other quotes that I'm going to share with you in this short video to explain the biggest challenge, the biggest problem that people have with ultimately creating the success that they want in their life. A lot of people have a hard time actually knowing what they want. They're actually still looking and discovering for what they want. And they think that it's something they have to go out and find. The first truth is that you actually choose what you want. Your desires are actually a product of yourself. You're not a product of your desires. You get to choose what you want. And that's a choice that you get to make. And over time, you can actually get better and better and better at actually choosing what you want, visualizing what you want, making the decision and going out and getting it. Dan Sullivan actually says that wanting is a skill. You can choose and learn to want something, but wanting itself isn't enough. You can actually visualize your success. I can see things in my future that I want, but this is what brings up the biggest threat and the biggest challenge that people have, which stops them from ever actually accomplishing or getting what they want. And it's the belief that what they want is out there rather than in here. It's the belief that they have to go out and get it, that they don't have it already. Once you come to this state of acceptance that what you want is already yours, and you just come to this place of acceptance, this place of knowing, then all of a sudden you can then go forward as your future self. There's a great quote actually from Florence Shin. She said that faith knows it has already received and acts accordingly. So once you know you already have what you want, then you can move forward from the perspective of having, from receiving, from being, rather than as trying to go out and get it. Dr. David Hawkins would explain, this is the difference between having power versus having force. If you don't think that what you want is yours, and if you don't believe that your future self is already you, then you're gonna try to force things to happen. But once you already know that what you want is yours, then you can move from a place of power, a place of acceptance. Because again, back to the original quote I shared with you, men do not attract what they want, but what they are. And so once you just accept that what you want and basically who your future self is already right here, right now, it's already yours, then you can actually just create it. You can move forward from that place, and there will be so much less friction. There's a simple framework for explaining this. It's the concept of be, then do, then have. You have to first be who you want to be and do what your future self would do. Do what that person would do, and you can then have anything. You can have what your future self would have. The opposite is how most people approach it. And it's that they think that they must first have something, whether it's credentials, a certain amount of money, an idea. They feel like they must have something first, which then qualifies them to do what they want to do and be who they want to be. So this path leads people to constantly seeking meanses rather than going straight to the end. There's a difference between means goals and ends goals. And rather than just being at the end, realizing that you can already be there and then operating from the end. Stephen Covey said that you should think from the end in mind, but really you want to be from the end in mind. Once you actually accept that what you want is already yours, you can then start being from the end and doing from the end. Whereas the opposite is where you think you must have something first. And this leads you to pursuing means, where you're constantly focusing on means goals rather than ends goals. And the problem with this approach is that there's no end to believing you must have something first. And so people spend their whole career, their whole life striving to have some means first, which they think that they need in order to ultimately do and be who they want to be. So you can approach your life either of these two ways. Either you can start with have and think you must have something first, which gets you focused on means, and you're focused on what you believe to be the prerequisite or the pre-qualifier. And so you're always focused on means. And so you're working on, first I have to have this in order to do what I want to do, and then I can finally be who I want to be. And that's you operating in a very linear way. That's you operating from your present self. That's you working towards your goal. Whereas the opposite is the much faster, the much more powerful approach, and it leads to a lot faster realization of what you want. And that's where you begin with the end in mind. You see what you want to have and where you want to be, and then you operate from that future. You start to accept that what you want is already yours. It's already yours. It's right here. And the reason you don't have it now is because you haven't accepted that it's already yours. You haven't accepted that it's all right here and that you already have it. Once you reach that place of acceptance, then you're no longer emotionally resisting what you want. You need both. You need to mentally clarify what you want, but then you need to emotionally accept it. You need to believe you deserve it. Back to Gary Cady, you don't get in life what you deserve, but what you believe you deserve. And if you know, back to Florence Shinn, faith knows it has already received and acts accordingly. Once you know that you already have it. Denzel Washington, by the way, the famous actor, said the same thing in a commencement speech. He said that what you want, and he used kind of a religious or a spiritual example. He said, anything that you want in your heart, a true heart's desire is basically God's evidence sent before you that it's already yours. The real challenge that people have is accepting that what they want is already theirs, that it's right here, it's not out there. Once you know that what you want is already yours, then you can be and do from that place of acceptance, from that place of knowing. Stephen Covey, in the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, actually said, to know and not do is to really not know. And so this is exactly back to Yoda. He said, do or don't do. There is no try. So all of these things come together that if you know that what you want is already yours, if you've come to a place of acceptance and you realize it's right here, it's not out there, it's internal, it's not external. Once you actually accept that reality, and it's at a place of emotional development where emotionally you just receive it, emotionally you accept it, emotionally you know it, then you can start being and doing from that place of knowing. Again, to know and not do is to not know. And so if you don't know that what you want is already yours, then you're going to still try to prove yourself. You're going to still try to pre-qualify. You're going to go out there and try to prove either to yourself or to others that you're worthy of it or whatnot. That type of energy, that lack of emotional place of deserve, leads you to constantly chasing things that you think will enable you to finally deserve what you want. You'll never get there because you're always chasing meanses, and you're never actually just realizing that you are the end. You can receive the end. You can have the end. And once you actually know that internally and emotionally, then you start acting from that place. Remember, first you be, and then you do, and then you have. And actually, all of your behavior comes from your identity. Your identity is what you most believe in about yourself. Your identity is what you've most committed yourself to. It's what you've believed is most true about yourself. And so once you just accept as the identity that you are who you want to be, that you already have what you want, then you will do from that place. Then you will do as your future self. Then you will have eventually and very quickly what you want. It's a lot more of a nonlinear approach to learning. It's a nonlinear way of living. It's being from your future rather than towards your future. If you're always doing towards your future, then you're always operating from your current self. But if you actually just receive and accept that your future self is already you, then you will do from your future self, and you will create far more direct pathways to getting what you want. There will be less emotional friction, and you'll start immediately letting go of all the things in your life that clearly don't resonate with you being your future self now. This has happened to me so many times in my life. Let me give one example. When I first started blogging back in 2015, I started blogging on medium.com. And in my mind, I already knew that I was going to become a professional writer. I already knew that I could and would be who I wanted to be. And so I wrote from that place of already being a professional writer. And because I wrote from that mindset, rather than me starting as an amateur, I started from the perspective that I already know I'm going to be successful. I already know I'm going to achieve. I already know that I can succeed. And so because I had that emotional place of deserve, I didn't have emotional friction. I didn't avoid it. I didn't have a fixed mindset. I already just came from the place of, I know that what I want's already mine. And because I came from that place, it literally only took like two months for me to start writing viral blog posts. I was able to engage in deliberate practice. I was able to clarify my future self and just be in a place of learning and growth mindset. I knew I wasn't my current self. I knew that I could change and grow and develop. And so very quickly, I operated from a place of just pure emotional acceptance. And I was able to succeed very quickly in that endeavor. So one of the things that's really important with all of this is that once you accept that what you want is already yours, then you can immediately see all the areas in your life that are creating any form of friction. And you can just immediately delete those areas of your life. You can immediately remove the toxic behaviors, the toxic relationships, or you can just honestly reposition yourself in a way that more fully aligns with you being your future self now. This is the key, really. And if you study anyone like Dr. Joe Dispenza or people like that, even Gay Hendricks in the book, The Big Leap, the core change that people need to face here is the emotional realization that what they want is already theirs, that it's already here, and that they don't have to spend years, weeks, months, decades going out and getting it. Once you realize that it's right here, that it's all right here, that you already have it, and you come to that acceptance, you realize that that's what you deserve, and you just know that what you want is already yours. Then you do from a totally different place. To know and not do is to not know. Once you know that what you want is already yours, once you just reach that place of acceptance, you believe you deserve it, there's no more emotional friction, you've just let all that go and you receive it, then you will do fundamentally differently than if you're trying to do to prove that you deserve it. Once you know that what you want is already yours, there's no more proving. There's no more worrying about what other people think. There's no more questioning yourself. This is a place of pure confidence, pure faith. And once you do that, then it's just you doing from that place, that much higher place. And that higher place, again, straight back to the immediate quote from the top quote from James Allen. And by the way, his book, As a Man Thinketh, is such a beautiful book. That men do not attract what they want, but what they are. And once your identity just fully accepts and aligns with what you fully want, and you know that that's who you already are, then your behavior stems from that higher identity. And so it's really, and then this actually connects with one other dot, and I'll just connect this last dot. And this comes from the book, The 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership, that you can know what you're committed to by the results you're producing. And this connects right with identity, because your identity is what you're most committed to. Basically, the results you're producing are what you're most committed to. You can know what you're committed to by the results you're producing in all aspects of your life. Whatever you are producing right now is what you're committed to. And what you're committed to is your identity, and your behavior comes from your identity. So once you just accept and fully believe and realize that you deserve what you want and that it's already right here, once you fully accept that and know that it's not out there, it's right here. Everything you want is already here. You already have it. You just didn't even realize it. Actually, Gary Cady says that in his book, Raise Your Healthy Deserve Level, that so many successful people are chasing the finish line when they fail to realize they already passed it a long time ago. They're still chasing some finish line that they crossed a long time ago. And because they don't realize it, because they don't believe it, they miss so much ease of what was already theirs to receive and to create and to do from that better place. So my question for you is, are you still chasing something that fundamentally you already actually have? And if you actually realized that what you wanted, you already have, and you came from that place of knowing, how would that change everything about what you're doing? My name is Dr. Benjamin Hardy. I wrote a book called Be Your Future Self Now. This book's not even out yet, but down below, you can click the link and you can get access to the first free chapter, which will blow your mind. I tell the story about Mr. Beast and about how Mr. Beast created 4 time capsules of his future self, and about how he quickly realized his future self by applying the science of future self. Have a beautiful day. I'll talk to you soon.